What if I told you that everything you knew about the sun was only half the story? For decades, we've been told to fear the sun, to slather on sunscreen, to cover up, because too much sun exposure could be dangerous. But what if I told you that not enough sun could be just as dangerous as overexposure? New research is proving that sunlight doesn't just boost vitamin D levels, it's essential for our biology, for our metabolism, for our heart health, and much more. In this video, we're going to get into what really happens when sunlight touches your skin. You guys ready?
And here we go.
For centuries, sunlight was considered a natural healer. In sanatoriums, they used helotherapy to actually treat rickets, tuberculosis, and chronic wounds. But in the 20th century, sunlight was linked to skin cancer. And that's when sunlight became public enemy number one. Here's where things get interesting. Despite the risks, there's no study out there that finds more sun exposure leads to higher all-cause mortality rates. As a matter of fact, in Sweden and the UK, they've shown that people who get more sun exposure live longer. Why? Because sunlight affects so many systems in the body. And one of the biggest impacts on our system is an improvement in cardiovascular health. And most people think that sunlight helps the heart because of the increase in vitamin D levels. And that's partially true, but it's only one piece of the puzzle. One of the biggest hidden mechanisms is nitric oxide production. And here's how it works. When UV rays hit the skin, it triggers a biochemical reaction where it releases nitrates stored within the skin cells. This then releases nitric oxide into the bloodstream, which then relaxes the blood vessels and lowers your blood pressure. This then improves blood flow, reduces strain on the heart, and decreases the risk of stroke, heart attack, and hypertension. In fact, a massive study of dialysis patients across 2,000 US clinics found that those with higher sun exposure had lower blood pressure. And this was even when their vitamin D levels were controlled. Translation, sunlight itself, not just vitamin D levels, is helping to protect your heart. Okay, so you've heard a little bit about the benefits of sunlight, how it protects the heart by lowering blood pressure, but did you know that it can also help you lose weight, increase your metabolism, and possibly protect you against diabetes? Stick around, because this next part may possibly change how you think about sunlight completely. So, can the sun really help you lose weight? Let's first dive into a groundbreaking study on mice where they found those that were exposed to UV light gained significantly less weight than the ones that weren't. And this was even when they were fed a high-fat diet. How, you ask? Well, first off, sunlight activates melanocortin receptor signaling, which is a neural pathway within the brain that regulates hunger, energy expenditure, and body mass. And let's not forget about the boosts in nitric oxide levels. We talked about this, about how it lowers blood pressure. But not only that, it helps with insulin sensitivity in the body and how the body processes sugars and fats. And this information wasn't just on mouse studies. There's also human studies that say those that are exposed to higher levels of sun have less obesity, type 2 diabetes, and problems with metabolic syndrome. So if you're trying to lose weight, getting outdoors might be just as important as diet and exercise itself. So here's a question for you. Have you ever noticed that you're happier on sunny days? That's not just your imagination, it's biochemistry. Sunlight influences two brain chemicals, serotonin, the feel-good neurotransmitter linked to happiness and emotional stability, and melatonin, the hormone that controls sleep-wake cycles and reduces stress. Nowadays, doctors are using something called bright light therapy. This is a form of light that's supposed to mimic the effects of natural sunlight. They're using this particular therapy to help those that suffer with seasonal depression, major depressive disorder, bipolar depression, and ADHD. One important study found that bright light therapy was just as effective as antidepressant medication. It actually boosted people's moods and helped them feel better within 3 to 7 days of this therapy. Bottom line, sunlight may be nature's best mood booster. So sunlight doesn't just make you feel good, it also can help you from getting sick. It does this by activating T regulatory cells from UV exposure, which helps reduce inflammation and autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis, asthma, and multiple sclerosis. Sunlight may also reduce the severity of viral infections by increasing interferon levels, which are proteins in the body that help fight infections. As a matter of fact, there was a recent study from the COVID pandemic that found that areas with more sun exposure had significantly lower death rates. While sun exposure is not a cure-all, it's definitely clear that more sun exposure helps keep your immune system strong. So here's something that was interesting to me. Did you know that not getting enough sunlight can lead to myopia, which is nearsightedness? As a matter of fact, research showed that kids that got more time outdoors compared to those that didn't had a decrease or lower rates in nearsightedness. Here's how. Sunlight stimulates dopamine production in the retina, which prevents excessive elongation of the eye, which is a key cause of myopia. Unfortunately, we're all sitting around on computers and our cell phones, and the blue light from these screens, such as computer or cell phone screens, lacks this beneficial light, which is why excessive screen time without outdoor exposure may be increasing vision problems. This is why most eye doctors nowadays recommend at least 15 hours per week of outdoor time to protect your eyesight. So with all this information, does this mean that you just ditch the sunscreen and sunbathe all day? Not quite. Here's a few tips that I can give you as far as to get enough sun and to also be careful as well. So tip number 1, try to get yourself 10 to 30 minutes of sun a few times a week. Tip number 2, try to expose large areas of skin like your arms and legs. This is for better benefits. And tip number 3, use sunscreen if you're going to be outside for long periods of time. And the last thing here, tip number 4, consider light therapy in winter months, especially if you feel yourself getting depressed without sun exposure. So you see, sunlight is not your enemy. It's a biological necessity. So when you wake up in the morning next time and you see the sunlight peeking through the clouds, step outside for about 10 to 30 minutes, absorb those good rays. Your body will thank you for it. So to finish this off, have you noticed the effects of sunlight on your health? If you have, drop a comment down below. Let us know. Other than that, this is Dave. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this content. I'm signing off. Stay healthy, stay strong, be informed, not influenced. We'll see you next time on the channel.
That's all, folks.
Take care now. Bye-bye then.